Well, good afternoon, everybody. I just got a new mic, so if someone can type in if they can hear me, okay, I would appreciate it. All right, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, I am Reverend Tom Vargas, and I am an ordained minister of Pathways of Light. I would like to start off this this tonight's talk with something I just ran across on Facebook while I was looking for something to read, and it's something simple. It says sometimes God closes doors because it's time to move forward. He knows you won't move unless your circumstances forced you. Trust the transition. God's got you. And I really do like that because it reflects exactly what had happened to me. I was in a situation and did not know how to get out of it. It wasn't for my highest good. I was living in a place and doing a whole bunch of stuff that was not supporting my magnificence, and so a chain of events happened, and I was forced to move and start doing some things differently. And one of the things that I started doing differently was the course. And so thank God that that whole door of where I used to live did close, and all I had to do was just follow the open doors of what was available to me at the time, and it was all there for me. God had established that path for me, and all I had to do was just open that door and just walk, and everything that I needed was available to me from the course, from getting into a course group, from a job. I mean, everything. So that's why I like that course. And speaking of courses, I just did just earlier this part of the week. I bought my airplane tickets to Costa Rica. I'm going to volunteer at Diederik Wolczak's Choose Again facility for 2 weeks, so I'm really excited and ready to get on with some serious healing over there. I went to his Florida retreat earlier this year. It was just for 1 week, and I had some major transformations going on. A week was, I guess, just about right to where you can really feel the awakening and the difference in your thinking, because it really is a mind training exercise. But this time for 2 weeks straight of just nothing but Diederik's 6-step process, and he goes and uses a circle where everyone can share, everyone can talk about the illusions and just the things that bother you or that you're stuck on. And as one person talks, everyone gets healed, because it's all just one separation. It's just one separation expressing in everybody's individual ways, but it's pretty much basically all the same. So anyways, what I thought I would do, I would go over Diederik's 6-step process and explain each step of the process the way that I understand it, a Course in Miracles kind of interpretation of it, and just try to kind of hit each step with from different angles, from the person experience it, from what my opinion is, and how would the course look at it. And so on and so forth. So the first step in this process is I am upset. So the very first thing that catches my curiosity, or really I notice, is I am, and which I am I talking about that is upset. And so in my perspective, I believe that there are only two I's that I can really refer to. The first I would be the I of the ego, my separate individual self, the self that I was born into as a material and physical person, that I have my own individual beliefs, individual preferences, individual feelings, and everyone else has their own separate lives and meaning to life also. And there's also the I that is the one I, the universal I, the spiritual I, that constitutes everyone's existence, not just everyone's, but everything is in this I, of allness, this I of awareness, and that I call God. And if I have to give it a name, that's what I would call it, is that I'm part of that I. I read an example someplace where they kind of liken a diamond, and a diamond has that cut face on it, and so it's like a big gigantic diamond with how many millions and billions of cuts on it, and each person or each thing or each awareness, each consciousness is one cut in that diamond. So that cut has a individuality as a cut on the diamond, but it is still that diamond that constitutes their existence. And so that is the I of Christ that I'm talking about as far as that I is concerned. And it's the I, that I is the one that I'm trying to get back to by removing blockages. And that is what this 6-step process to me is all about. It's about removing the blockages that keep me from realizing who I am truly in that Christ oneness. And the 6-step process helps me get to the bottom of blockages that I'm working with more and more. So the blockages, like the Course says, they have to be removed. And what I like about Diederik's process is that after 1 week, everyone has pretty much have already went and said what their blockages are. Everything they can think of, it's been laid out on the table, and it's just such a great experience. And the very last day he's like, well, did anybody got anything else? And everyone was kind of like done with anything that could bother them, because you've gone through the process so much. You think of something, and then you think of the process, and then you just take yourself right to the answer. So anyways, the first step in the process is I am upset. And me coming, or anyone that's coming from a a place of ego, separate consciousness would be that I that gets upset. The universal I, the Christ I, there's no such thing as an upset. If we look at what the separated I is that's causing an upset, it is the fact that I'm that I is believing that I am having an experience where I am being threatened. I believe my identity at the time of the upset is being threatened, or in a situation where my life or something that I feel important is being threatened. And whatever it is, it has to do with what my identity is that I created, trying to make sense of this world. It's an upset where I don't have control of the situation. It's an upset where I feel I have to manipulate or take some kind of action to change or deal with whatever situation that I perceive is happening, to the situation that puts me at risk. And just judging from my personal history, what I try first to deal with the upset is usually something that has some kind of success in the past. For a long time, alcohol was a way for me to deal with upsets. It was a way for me to deny pretty much what my feelings were about the situation, and it would change my perspective of the situation, where it wouldn't bother me as much. I would think it's a joke, and like a miracle is a change of perception, but I think this to me wouldn't be called a change of perception, because it's something that is done artificially to the body, messing with the body's chemistry. So I do not believe this is what the Course has in mind about changing perspective. Other things that might occur would be whatever any kind of addictions someone have, which would be drugs, or even something as simple as turning on the TV or watching football or basketball or anything like that, to get away from this upset that is not agreeing with my perceived ego needs. And being in this consciousness of separation, this upset seems very, very real to me. It seems that it really matters, and sometimes people will commit suicide over whatever upset that they have, so much that it's so real to them, they think that they do not have any way out of it, and so then they do what they have to do in order to end it. Unfortunately, they're equating their beliefs of separation, in the form of whatever form it is, with their identity of who they are. And and that is one of the effects of the I am upset. So the goal of 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 taking responsibility for that I am upset uh, is to be able to work on it. If I feel that it's the world outside of me that controls my moods and my life, then the only solution I would ever have to move out of the upset would be to change what is going on outside of me. And to a certain extent, that is within my power to do something like that. But more often than not, I am powerless to change what another person's behavior is, what another person thinks, how another person drives, uh, what another what the weather is like, or just a whole number of things that could trigger my upset. Uh, so without taking responsibility for the upset and taking having that awareness that somewhere along the line that I had something to do with that upset opens the door to where it's possible for me to take a positive action and an active role in changing this upset, because that is my goal, is to alleviate the upset, or not feel it, or just to move into a space of peace, of happiness, or contentment. So that is the first step, is I am upset, which is basically I own that upset, and the solution lies in me. It's kind of like, I guess, like the first step in AA, where I'm powerless over whatever it is, and this is, I am upset is an admission of what my experience is, not an admission of who I am. And that's one thing about Alcoholics Anonymous. They equate the I am an alcoholic with who you are, all the way through, spiritually, mentally, physically, the whole thing. That's your identity. And I guess some people have got to go that far to to get into a new ways of thinking. But to me, it's just a belief in in something outside of yourself. The second step is me. It's about me. And the question here also is who is the me in it. And just like we were talking before, it's awareness of my ego. Identity is the only thing that can be upset. And it is also setting up our own responsibility for being upset, and to recognize all my feelings and experiences. I'm the one that can do something about it besides blaming and attacking. There is no one that can come along and take away any of my upsets, because it is about me. It's thoughts do not leave their source. So anything in my life, in my experience, happens within my consciousness. and nothing ever happens outside my consciousness. Everything, my perspective, how I see the world, what I believe about anything, including myself, is manifested, experienced in my own consciousness. So it, nothing can be about anyone else except my own consciousness that is experiencing this upset. So it is only about me, and it's only about the me, which is the ego that believes in something else other than the Christ consciousness. And in this step, it's all about me. What I found myself doing is to move into a space where I'm aware of my own sense of self, my own sense of being, my own sense of living. You know, closing my eyes, being silent, and just get a real sense of what my experience of myself really is, and try to isolate that as much as possible to understand who and what I am as awareness, as much as I can, to really get the sense of this is what I'm talking about, that needs to be enlightened, that has the stamina, that has the potential to explore different ways of perceiving, different ways of experiencing everything that I'm going through. It is this awareness of me. It's the awareness of myself. That is the me that I feel that this step is about, is to just really get a foundation, really get a sense of who I really am from my individual consciousness as I understand it, is really honing in and saying, okay, it's from this place is where the change is going to take place. It's the only place that a change can take place. It's only through this sense of connection that I have with my awareness, my own consciousness. This is the only place where anything can happen. So that it, for me, that's the second step. Me, it is about me. And the third step is feel the feeling, which I believe, which I think the second step just rolls really naturally into that third step of feeling the feeling, because I'm at a place where I am in that awareness of myself the best that I can at the time, if I'm really sincere in doing this work and not letting the ego run me off and not letting me think straight or focus straight on who I am. And so Diederik has these cards in his sessions, and it has a whole list of feelings that you can look up to closely identify how you're feeling. You'll have like anger, aloneness, a betrayal, depressed, or shame. And so it'll help identify. And some people do not have a problem of knowing when they're angry or knowing when they're depressed, but as I look back on it, I'm one of the ones that would have had a problem, and do have a problem of identifying how I feel. I remember when I first started taking the Pathways of Light courses, a lot of the exercises that they have like processes to where you would read something or do a meditation or something, and then they ask you, well, how do you feel about this? What kind of movement happened with you when you refer to this statement or this concept or whatever? And at the beginning, what I would do is I would talk about it as like in the third person, like I was observing myself, saying that okay, this concept right here made this kind of feeling, in me, or it caused this kind of feeling, or something that, like, I was up outside of myself and saw this like experiment of myself of doing it, and I could not really identify with that feeling. I could never say I feel alone, or I feel angry, or I feel unloved. Could not do it, because all my life I could not let those kind of feelings come up, because did not know how to deal with them. I'm sure I learned that when I was very young, because I could not deal with situations outside of myself, which I projected my sense of separation to. And the facilitator that I had really had to work on me, or work with me, and make me recognize exactly what I was doing. And I had to face it. I had to say to myself, well, if you're going to go through this and you're going to actually get anything out of these courses, you're going to have to take the chance. You're going to have to dare to expose your feelings, no matter what you learned about yourself, or whatever I thought about myself. And it just really highlights the fact of how powerful the beliefs are from when I was a little kid. I mean, that stuff just stays with you, and really sticks with you. And so this is another step. On the fourth step is, remember when I felt this way before, because it does, I feel, that rolls right into it also. Because it's all feelings that we have experienced the feelings before. And the reason I say this is, I had touched on it a little bit on the other step, is when we are born into this material world, we come into this material world with the sense of separation. Just by having this physical body, we come in with the sense of separation. And since thoughts do not leave their source, and here I am, just being born, and trying to figure out where is this sense of separation coming from, you know. And so I projected outside of myself, and it could happen that could have been anything, like my mother, let's say, uh, feeding my dad first instead of me, or my mom speaking too loud, or my dad speaking too loud. Whatever it is, the thing is that I'm feeling this strong sense of separation, and it has to be caused by something, and that's the way the projection works always with my life. I feel something, and whoever's in the neighborhood or around me, that is the thing that I got to find something wrong with, or as a cause of my upset or my feelings of sense of separation. Is it projects it. It projects it out. Anyone that's in the vicinity, you know, that will be the nature of my um, projection, and that is the way that I feel is whatever comes up was when I first felt it, because when I first felt it, that is where I'm stuck. It's an unresolved conflict, and this unresolved conflict of when I felt this way before is usually something that I am still stuck on from my earliest memories, earliest memories, as to when I'm trying to identify who I am in this physical world, and that is what had occurred to me. I define myself by what I project because of my feelings of separation out into the world. And so that is who my identity is, and that is where my blockage is to my real self. From, I guess you could say, kind of like the tiny man idea. It's like anything. My dog could have walked by when I was a little, and so it could be the dog. When I see a dog makes me feel separate. Whatever, it could have been anything. Okay, so that's the fourth step. The fifth step is establish what my judgment of myself was at that moment. So, since I know, let's say at the time when I'm trying to remove this blockage, I'm not aware that it's the separation, the projection of separation that is causing my upset. So for me, looking for the blockage, the judgment of myself, that judgment is going to take the form of a form of a feeling of separation from my true self, which would be a separation from love. So whatever a person in my experience said to me or done to me is going to be a form of separation. Whether, for me personally, I felt rejected, I felt unlovable, I felt unwanted, and I felt alone. I felt no one was on my side. I felt I had no one to really talk to, or to depend on, or just really have like a rock to have someone unconditionally accept me, take care of me, love me without any kind of conditions at all. And that was my personal story. But when I was in the circle with Diederik over in Florida, there wasn't anything that I heard that was not a reflection of the cause being of separation. It was always the belief that I was unlovable, and I'd always had to do about all the factors of what separation really is. And I believe this is the purpose of the course, is to get down, remove the blockages, and all of the blockages are really projections of this separation that we're born into. It's the tiny mad idea being manifested as all of these different blockages, all these different reasons that are the result of our projections of this feeling of separation. And pretty soon, what had happened to me is that you get to the point where you do this work and this process enough that you just start really working on just moving out of the sense of separation itself and moving into the Christ consciousness is kind of where I've been led to work on, because every time I go in and work on a blockage, a belief about myself, it all leads to the same thing. And so the last step, which is called embrace the truth about me, is for me an ongoing step. It is that transfer of the goal from alleviating the upset to embracing what is really true, which means that to be in a place where there is no such thing as the upset, because the upset doesn't exist. The upset never existed, and there is no criteria for an upset to be possible when we embrace the truth about ourselves, or when I embrace the truth about me, because the truth about me is the oneness, is the non-separation, if that's such a word, is the spiritual completeness and fullness of God, is who we are in reality. So that is the shift that this last step makes, is to embrace that truth from the egocentric consciousness of separation. So the truth about me, there are different ways to go about doing this, but the foundation, or the primary uh, reason to do this is to move into the Christ consciousness. To the degree that I have done my work, my studies, my practicing of course principles, my practicing the presence of the Christ, that's to that degree where I can embrace the truth about me. It is that place where I need to go in consciousness that will be the refuge from any kind of upset. It's the place where the upset doesn't exist, and it never did exist. It's the place where all of the feelings that were born out of my projections of being unlovable, unworthy, undeserving, and all of those things are exactly what love does not feel like. And love feels like love. Love feels like completeness. Love feels right. Love feels correct. Love feels at home. And then, even though in this consciousness, in the separate consciousness of this physical world, I can still have that sense of connection. And that sense of connection and oneness, it manifests to me as recognizing all of my projections and all about this world as not being it. So how can I define conflicts or things that don't feel right, things that that are not natural, if I do not have a sense of what is natural, what is lovable, what is unconditioned thinking, what is this Christ consciousness, or this God that can love without any kind of conditions. I for a fact, I could tell tell you that I don't live it 100%. I'm not in that up in the clouds all the time, or I can't even say up in the clouds. It's actually a foundation of reality. But I know in my heart that is real. And as I was going through the circle over in Florida when we're doing this process, everyone has that inner recognition, that inner knowledge of what unconditional love is. What is peace? What is true happiness? We all, I believe, have that sense of who we are spiritually. We have that sense of our completeness, and really none of us have to go into a long, sophisticated study about this is our truth. I believe everyone knows that truth is. It's the matter of going into that truth. I believe that there are civilizations out there that haven't been touched by so much uh, uh, greed and selfishness and separation, to where they do take care of everyone. They all act as one unit, one organism, and they're not so separate. And those people can be more enlightened or more close to the atonement without even knowing exactly what it is. The whole point is to come back into the unconditioned spirit, the whole spirit of who we are. Um, so it is a natural truth that we have to embrace. We or I get to experience more and more of it as the blockages come down little by little. For me, the way I was brought up in this society, I need to do the mind training. The society that I grew up in was a very separated society that reinforced the feelings of the sense of the separation here. I believe that there are societies that recognize that is what is happening, and they do as much as they can and live as much as they can of focusing on the oneness and the well-being of everyone in the society. Everyone's responsible for the kids, and for feeding each other, and everything that is contrary to such strong separation. I believe that those kind of societies are a thing of the future, and I believe people see those societies as primitive and things of the past. But I see that, or I believe, how can our societies change into the oneness if it is not having a conscious care about each other? And by each other, I don't mean the human self. I mean our brother that we identify as ourself, the essence of not just our fellow human species, but everything that exists is all intelligence. It's all comes back to that one intelligence, and that is the only way. If you're going to do this course, you have to get involved with your brother. You have to share it. You have to teach who you are. It's not a teaching where you can say, okay, I got peace right now, and not share and teach it wherever you go. And it's at that ground roots level that the societies are going to change. I don't really understand where we've had these I guess, what is it, 2010, where the calendar ends, and then the snap of a finger, then everyone's consciousness is just going to change, or whatever. One of these kind of events where, I guess, the second coming of Christ, and then all of a sudden, everyone's going to go up to heaven. But I mean, heaven is a consciousness as far as I'm concerned. It's a state of mind. It's a state of identity, and I guess it's possible. You can snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're in the oneness. I imagine that can happen, but that's one thing I can't do. I can't sit around and wait for it, because I'm experiencing that separation right now, and I spent all my life dealing with it by trying to run away from it, by numbing myself and denying these feelings, but I don't do that anymore. And so for that reason, I need the course, because these blockages come up, and even though that I recognize them exactly for what they are, that doesn't still stop the habit, or as Diederik was saying, the addiction to the upsets. And all it is really reliving that victimhood, and that part of where I don't want to take responsibility and do the work and do the mind training in order to do the work to get me out of it. That's what the upsets are for, is to bring us back into our sense of oneness. But there is a process that Diederik uses for, like, the icing on the cake, I guess, a lack of a better term, to help to finalize or put closing on the resolution of a conflict, and it has to do with forgiveness. There are two thoughts, two sentences that he uses, and I have found these really super effective in my life whenever I'm feeling any kind of guilt or shame of what I believe about myself, or falling back into the beliefs of separation. And I'm one of these people that are so hard on myself. It's hard for me not to take it personally, that, oh shoot, I'm still thinking this way. Oh shoot, the same thought. Here it is. The same person, making me mad again. When am I gonna get over it? So, and I take that kind of stuff personal, instead of just saying, okay, well, I'm in the middle of some mind training. It's going to take some time. It has nothing to do with me personally. It has something to do with the sense of separation that I grew up with, and this is just part of it. So thank God I recognize it. Now I can let it go. But anyway, these two sentences is what I really believe, that they're really a process on their own. And the first one is, I forgive myself for believing in this upset and the false identity that caused it. So I'm forgiving myself for that belief that caused the upset, and mistaking that belief for the main belief, which is the sense of separation. So I'm forgiving myself and for falling into that belief again, and because it's me identifying with that belief that really isn't there. It's really not even true, and it's not even me. And I'm forgiving myself for for believing that's who I am, when I know in my heart that isn't who I am, that isn't my identity. And so I need that forgiveness work to forgive myself for that. And then the second one is I forgive myself for forgetting my true identity as a perfect child of God. So I forgive myself for living in the ego and not being conscious of who I am. I forgive myself for forgetting that there is no such thing as an upset, because there's nothing to get upset about in my oneness, in my truth. I forgive myself for forgetting the consciousness of the Christ that I am. I forgive myself for forgetting that thoughts do not leave their source, and the true source of that is all love. All my true self is that awareness of love, and it is that love, and it's the extending of that love. And so I forgive myself for forgetting who I am in all intents and purposes as a spiritual awareness and a spiritual consciousness. And so, though this is the 6 steps, I am upset. Second one, me, it's about me. Third one is feel the feeling. Fourth one, remember when I felt this way before. Fifth one, establish what my judgment of myself was at the moment. And 6 was embrace the truth about me. So I'm hoping that I did a good enough job to indicate how super effective that the 6-step process is. Of course, being there with Diederik and him getting to the bottom of my resistance to look at myself and really blow the whistle on me as to what I'm really thinking, to see past my story, my justifications and everything, is just a wonderful process of being out there with him. So I am going to drop the mic and end my hour session right now. I've got less than a minute, and I just want to express my gratitude for Lynn for allowing me to teach what I need to learn. And I just need to share that I can't wait for my 2 weeks down in Costa Rica, and as someone wrote up here, is keep going down the rabbit hole, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to dive in and cut it loose, and wherever it goes, then I'm ready for it. So I'm going to turn the